Chosen one, lock your focus right now. Ignore every distraction around you. Do not let your mind wander, because the specific heaviness you have felt in your chest for the last 72 hours was not anxiety. That was not a spiritual attack. That was the atmospheric pressure changing because a massive file from heaven just dropped into your timeline. For years, you have begged God for an answer, and He gave you silence, and that silence hurt. You thought He abandoned you, but God told me to tell you, I was not ignoring you. I was protecting the code. What He is about to reveal to you in this video is a divine exception that He has never spoken before, because until this moment, you were not ready to carry the clearance level. The rules that bind everyone else are about to be broken for your sake. If you are ready to receive the password to this unprecedented exception, open your spirit, take a deep breath, and listen. This is the shift you have been waiting for. If you receive this, subscribe to the channel now to lock in this frequency, like this video to signal your readiness to the spiritual realm, and comment, I am the exception, to open the seal. Let us be honest for a moment. You have been feeling something that you are too afraid to say out loud. You look at your life, and then you look at the promises of God, and they do not match. You see people who do not even pray, people who cut corners, people who live selfishly, and they seem to be winning. They get the promotion, they get the relationship, they get the easy road. Meanwhile, you are doing everything right. You forgive when you want to scream. You give when you are empty. You pray until your throat is dry. And yet, you feel stuck. Picture this moment. You are sitting in your car in the driveway. You have turned the engine off, but you do not get out. You just sit there, gripping the steering wheel, staring at the garage door, and a thought creeps into your mind, a raw, ugly thought you would never tell your pastor. You think, does God truly see me? Or am I just talking to the ceiling? You feel like God loves you, but He loves you in a generic way, like a factory setting. You feel like a number in a system, not a son or daughter with a specific destiny. You feel like the laws of the universe work for everyone else, but when you try to apply them, they malfunction. I need you to hear me clearly. You are not crazy. That malfunction you feel is real, but it is not because you are broken. It is because you are a prototype. Before I explain what that means, listen to me. Do not click away from this video. In the next few minutes, I am going to hand you the manual for this specific isolation you are feeling. I am going to show you the 7 weapons the enemy uses specifically against prototypes like you, and I am going to give you the vault system to protect your future. If you leave halfway, you are walking into a battlefield without your armor. Stay with me. Back to the malfunction. You feel like there is a glitch in your reality. You try to move forward, and an invisible wall stops you. You try to build, and it collapses. This is happening because you are operating under a private constitution. The Bible speaks of this in Jeremiah chapter 1 verse 5. You have heard it 1,000 times. Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. But let us unpack what that really means in the original Hebrew. The word for knew is yada, which implies deep intimacy. But the second part is the key. I sanctified you. In Hebrew, to be sanctified is kadash. It does not just mean to be made holy. It literally means to be cut off, to be separated, to be withdrawn from common use. Think about that. To be sanctified is to be withdrawn from common use. That is why the common methods do not work for you. That is why the common path is blocked for you. You are not a mass-produced item. You are a custom creation. When God made you, He broke the mold. He cut you off from the common flow of cause and effect so He could do something that has never been done. This brings us to the shift. The reason you have faced such unusual resistance is not because you are cursed. It is because you are the first of your kind. You are what heaven calls a prototype. Isaiah 43 verse 19 says, "Behold, I will do a new thing. Now it shall spring forth. Shall you not know it?" The Hebrew word for new here is chadash. It does not mean a new version of an old thing. It means something fresh, something unheard of, something unprecedented. A prototype. When a car company builds a prototype, they do not drive it on smooth roads. They take it to the desert. They put it in a wind tunnel. They crash it against walls. Not to destroy it, but to test its limits. They put the prototype through pressure that the mass-produced cars will never face. Why? Because the prototype is carrying the technology of the future. Chosen one, that is your life. The heat you have been feeling is the testing ground. You are carrying a new frequency, a new anointing, a new breakthrough that your bloodline has never seen. You are the Chadash, you are the prototype, and because you are the first, you do not have a map. You do not have a mentor who has been exactly where you are. You are hacking through the jungle alone. But here is the danger of being a prototype. The enemy knows who you are. He knows that if you succeed, you will open a portal for thousands behind you. So he has designed a specific strategy to stop you before you realize your value. He is not attacking you like he attacks others. He has a classified playbook just for you. And if you do not know his moves, you will think you are losing your mind. So what exactly is a prototype in the spiritual realm? To understand your pain, you must understand the difference between mass production and original design. Look at the world around you. Most people are living what I call the mass production lifestyle. They are born into a system that works for them. They go to school, they get the job, they buy the house, they retire, and they die. It is a smooth assembly line. The mold was already made for them. All they had to do was pour themselves into it. And because they fit the mold, life flows relatively easily for them. They have mentors who understand them because thousands have walked their path before. They have maps, they have instructions, they have company. But then, there is you. You were not made on an assembly line. You were handcrafted in the secret place of the Most High. You are a prototype. And the rules for a prototype are completely different. A prototype is created to solve a problem that has never been solved before. It is designed to break a cycle that has held a bloodline captive for 10 generations. But here is the catch. Because you are the first of your kind, there is no mold for you. You do not fit in your family. You do not fit in your friend group. You do not even fit in your local church sometimes. You try to pour yourself into their molds, and you spill over. You try to walk their path, and you trip. Think about the Wright brothers building the first airplane. They could not go to the library and check out a book on how to fly. There were no flight instructors. There were no maps of the sky. Everyone looked at them and called them crazy. They failed over and over again. They crashed. They bled. Why? Because they were building a prototype. They were trying to access a dimension that humanity had never touched before. Chosen one. That is exactly where you are standing right now. The resistance you feel is not because you are doing it wrong. It is because you are doing something new. This brings us to the scripture that anchors your entire existence right now. Isaiah chapter 43, verse 19. You know it well. Behold, I will do a new thing. Now it shall spring forth. Shall you not know it? I will even make a road in the wilderness and rivers in the desert. We need to stop and perform surgery on this verse, because the English translation hides the violence and the power of what God is actually saying. The Hebrew word used for new here is chadash. Listen closely. Chadash does not mean a new version of an old thing. It does not mean God is going to paint your old house or fix your old car. Chadash means something unprecedented. It means something fresh, something that has never existed in existence before. When God says He is doing a chadash thing in you, He is saying, I am about to release a frequency through your life that your father did not have, that your mother did not have, that your grandmother did not have. I am not just repairing your bloodline, I am evolving it. But look at the second part of the verse. I will make a road in the wilderness. Do you understand the weight of that? A road implies traffic. It implies commerce. It implies connection. But a wilderness implies chaos, untamed land, and no direction. God is saying that you are the road. You are not walking on a road that someone else built. You are the heavy machinery that God is using to pave the road for the generations coming behind you. This is why you are so exhausted. Paving a road is harder than driving on one. The people around you, the mass-produced ones, they are driving on highways that were built 50 years ago. They are cruising. But you are in the jungle with a machete. You are cutting down trees of addiction. You are blasting through rocks of poverty. You are filling in valleys of trauma. You are doing the heavy lifting so that your children can cruise. You are the prototype of the new bloodline. And this explains the deep, aching loneliness that haunts you. I know you have tried to find a mentor. I know you have looked for someone, anyone, who understands the vision burning inside you. You sit across from people at coffee shops, and you try to explain what you see, and you watch their eyes glaze over. They give you generic advice. They tell you to just be patient, or just follow the steps. But deep down, you know their steps do not lead to where you are going. You feel alone because in your specific assignment, you are alone. You are the icebreaker ship in the frozen ocean. The icebreaker has to hit the ice first. It has to take the impact. It has to shake and shudder as it breaks through the frozen barrier. The ships that follow behind the icebreaker have a smooth journey. The water is calm for them, but the captain of the icebreaker feels every collision. Chosen one, stop crying over the people who do not understand you. Stop trying to force mass-produced people to understand a prototype mind. They cannot see what you see because they are not positioned where you are positioned. You are at the front of the arrow. You are the tip of the spear, and the tip of the spear always hits the air resistance first. Your loneliness is not a sign of rejection, it is a sign of your position. It is the cost of being the Chadash. So, receive this right now. You are a prototype. You are a divine exception. You are the breaker of cycles and the paver of roads. That is your identity. That is your glory. But I must warn you, being a prototype sounds powerful, and it is. But I have not told you the most dangerous part yet. There is a reason why the attacks on your life have been so strange, so persistent, and so illogical. The enemy is not stupid. He studies patterns. He knows how to derail a mass-produced Christian. He has a standard playbook for them. But when you showed up, when you started glowing with this Chadash frequency, you threw his entire system into panic. The enemy has a specific, classified strategy that he only uses on prototypes. He cannot use standard warfare on you because you survive standard warfare. So he has developed a form of asymmetric warfare designed specifically to target your mind and your unique position. And, as I speak, he has already begun to deploy the first phase of this strategy against you. You might think it is just bad luck or just a bad week. But what is actually happening is a calculated strike to take you out before you realize what you truly are. You might be tempted to think that because you are a divine exception, life is about to become easy. You hear the word exception and your mind drifts to a VIP lounge. You imagine that God is going to lift you out of the trenches and place you on a pedestal where the arrows cannot touch you. You think the private constitution means you get the blessing without the burden. Your friends tell you, "Oh, you are chosen, you are so lucky." And for a moment, you want to believe them. You want to believe that the season of fighting is over and the season of resting has begun. You feel a wave of relief washing over you, imagining that the worst is behind you. But stop. Look at your scars. Look at the last 6 months of your life. If the exception meant ease, why are you so tired? If the exception meant immunity, why does it feel like all hell has broken loose the moment you decided to get serious with God? Here is the brutal truth that nobody tells the prototype. The divine exception does not mean you are exempt from the war. It means you are the primary target of the war. In the military, they do not waste heavy artillery on empty warehouses. They do not send their elite snipers to guard a shack in the middle of nowhere. They save their most sophisticated, most lethal, and most expensive weapons for the high-value targets. They save them for the generals, the code carriers, and the prototypes. The reason you have been attacked so relentlessly is not because you are doing something wrong. It is because your value has been detected by the enemy's radar. The asymmetric warfare you are facing is actually the confirmation of your status. If you were mass-produced, the enemy would just give you a comfortable distraction and leave you alone. But because you are a prototype, he has to deploy asymmetric warfare. This means he uses unconventional tactics, surprise attacks, and psychological operations to wear you down. I am going to expose his playbook right now. I am going to give you the list of the 7 forms of asymmetric warfare that are launched against chosen ones, specifically when they are on the brink of activation. As I go through these, you are going to feel a shiver of recognition. You are going to realize that what you thought was random bad luck was actually a coordinated hit. The first form is the isolation spike. Notice I did not say loneliness. Loneliness is a feeling. The isolation spike is an event. It happens when the support system you relied on is suddenly and surgically removed. You pick up your phone to call the one friend who usually understands you, but they do not pick up. Or worse, you go to them for comfort, and they look at you with cold eyes and say something that cuts you to the bone. Picture this moment. You are standing in your kitchen, holding a coffee cup, staring out the window. You feel a weight on your chest, and your instinct is to reach out. But then you mentally scroll through your contacts, and you realize there is no one. The circle has closed. It feels like rejection, but it is actually protection. The enemy wants you to feel abandoned, so you will run back to toxic people. But God is allowing the isolation spike because he is clearing the interference. He needs your frequency to be clear for the download that is coming. The second form is the financial mirage. Be very careful with this one. This usually happens right before a major kingdom breakthrough. The enemy will send a counterfeit opportunity that looks like the answer to your prayers. It will be a job offer, a business deal, or a quick way to make money. It looks perfect on paper. It promises to solve your immediate stress. But here is the catch. This opportunity will require you to compromise a tiny part of your values. It will ask you to be too busy to pray. It will ask you to bend the truth just a little. It is a mirage. It is designed to get you off the altar and into the marketplace before you are ready. If you take the bait, you get the money, but you lose the momentum. You have to ask yourself, does this opportunity bring me closer to my assignment, or does it just make me comfortable in my captivity? The third form is the sleep thief. I know I am speaking to someone right now. You have been waking up between 3 a.m. and 4 a.m. for the last 3 weeks. You jolt awake with your heart racing, your mind instantly flooded with anxiety about the future. You toss and turn, checking the clock, calculating how much sleep you are losing. You think you have insomnia, you think you are stressed. But let us look at the context of Ephesians chapter 6, verse 12. We quote it all the time. For we wrestle not against flesh and blood. But we miss the violence of the word wrestle. In the Greek context of Paul's time, wrestling was not a sport of distance. It was pale. It meant close quarters combat. It meant hand-to-hand, breath-on-breath struggle where the loser had their eyes gouged out. It was intimate. The enemy attacks your sleep because that is when you are most vulnerable, but also when you are most receptive to the Spirit. He is trying to hijack your REM cycle because he knows that God downloads instruction in the night watch. That anxiety you feel at 3 a.m. is not yours. It is an atmospheric injection. The enemy is wrestling you for your peace because he knows if you are exhausted, you will make bad decisions during the day. So when you wake up at 3 a.m. tonight, do not grab your phone. Do not lay there and worry. That is the trap. Instead, realize that you have been summoned to the wrestling mat. Shift your perspective. Say to yourself, I am awake because my spirit is on guard duty. But listen to me closely, chosen one. These 3 forms, the isolation, the mirage, and the sleep thief. These are just the physical skirmishes. They are the attacks you can see and feel in your environment, but they are not the most dangerous weapon in his arsenal. The 4th form is different. It does not attack your bank account or your sleep. It attacks your sanity. It is a psychological weapon so brutal that it makes you question if you ever heard God in the first place. The 4th form is the gaslighting. This is the most subtle and dangerous weapon in the enemy's arsenal because it does not happen outside of you. It happens inside your own head. You will hear a voice that sounds exactly like your own logical thoughts, asking the oldest question in human history. Did God really say that? In Genesis chapter 3, verse 1, the serpent introduces sin into the world, not with a sword, but with a question. Now the serpent was more subtle than any beast of the field. The Hebrew word for serpent here is nachash, which comes from a root meaning to whisper, to hiss, or to enchant. The enemy is the nachash. He does not shout, he whispers. He waits until you are tired, maybe after that 3 a.m. wake-up call, and he whispers, you are imagining things. You are not a chosen one. You are just arrogant. You are not a prototype. You are just a failure who cannot fit in. He tries to make you doubt your own spiritual sanity. You start looking at your journals, reading the prophecies you wrote down years ago, and suddenly they look like nonsense to you. You start feeling like an imposter in your own calling. If you are feeling this mental fog right now, if you are questioning the very things you were 100% sure of last week, do not panic. That is the gaslighting. It is proof that you are carrying a truth so dangerous the enemy has to make you throw it away yourself. The 5th form is the artificial delay. This is designed to break your patience. This happens when you are 99% of the way to the finish line. The loan is approved, but then the paperwork gets lost. The meeting is scheduled, But then it gets rescheduled 3 times, the healing manifests, and then a new symptom appears the next day. The enemy knows that hope deferred makes the heart sick. He wants you to get sick of waiting, so you will force a door open that God intended to open for you. He wants you to turn into Ishmael because you could not wait for Isaac. But you need to reframe this. This is not a stop. This is a slingshot pullback. The tension you feel, the backward drag, is not rejection. It is the accumulation of potential energy. The further back you are pulled, the further forward you will be launched. The 6th form is identity theft. This is when people from your past suddenly reappear to remind you of who you used to be. They bring up your old mistakes. They call you by your old nicknames. They try to put the old coat back on you. We see this in Zechariah chapter 3. Joshua the high priest is standing before the angel of the Lord, and Satan is standing at his right hand to resist him. And Joshua was clothed with filthy garments. Satan was pointing at the dirt on his clothes, trying to disqualify him from his priestly office. This is what the enemy does to prototypes. He acts as the accuser. He points to your divorce, your bankruptcy, your addiction, your temper, and he says, "You cannot be a prototype with that stain on your shirt." But listen to what God says in that verse. He does not deny the filth. He says, "Take away the filthy garments from him. Behold, I have caused your iniquity to pass from you." Your defense against identity theft is not to argue that you are perfect. It is to stand on the fact that you have been changed. When they bring up your past, do not engage. That version of you is dead. They are looking for a ghost. The 7th and final form is the premature celebration. This is the trap of the appetizer. You pray for a banquet, and the enemy hands you a cracker. You pray for a kingdom impact, and you get a few likes on social media. The temptation is to stop pressing, to stop fasting, to stop believing, because you got a little bit of breakthrough. The enemy will let you have a small win if it keeps you from the big win. He will let you have a job if it keeps you from your destiny. Do not settle for the appetizer. When the small shift happens, thank God. But keep your boots on. Stay in the war room. Tell the enemy, "I am not here for a snack. I am here to take over the territory." Now, you might be thinking, this sounds intense. Does this actually work? Can I really survive these 7 forms of warfare? Let me tell you about someone who is watching this channel, maybe even right now. Let's call her Sarah. Sarah is a prototype in her family. She is the first one to break the cycle of poverty that has plagued her bloodline for generations. 3 months ago, she was hit with form number 2, the financial mirage. Sarah was desperate. Her bank account was in the negative. She had bills piled on her kitchen table that she was afraid to open. She was praying for a miracle. Suddenly, she got a job offer. It was from a corporate firm, and the salary was double what she had ever made. It looked like the answer. It looked like the breakthrough. But then she read the contract. The job required her to be on call 24/7. It required her to work on Sundays, the only time she had set aside to recharge her spirit. And deep in her gut, she felt that somatic heaviness we talked about. Her head said yes, but her stomach said no. It was a mirage. It was money, but it was slavery. Everyone told her to take it. Her family said she was crazy to consider saying no. That is form number 6, identity theft, trying to pull her back into the poverty mindset. But Sarah remembered the protocol. She recognized it was a trap to steal her time with God. So, with shaking hands, she sent the email. She declined the offer. For 2 weeks, nothing happened. The silence was deafening. That was form number 5, the artificial delay. She cried herself to sleep, wondering if she had made a mistake. That was form number 4, the gaslighting. But then, on the 15th day, her phone rang. It was a company she had applied to 6 months ago and forgotten about. They did not just offer her a job. They offered her a position created specifically for her skill set. The salary was not double, it was triple. And the schedule? It was flexible, allowing her to pursue her ministry. Sarah passed the test. She rejected the mirage, endured the delay, silenced the gaslighting, and stepped into the divine exception. She is now walking in a level of abundance that her family cannot explain. Chosen one, you can do this too. You have the playbook now. You know the 7 forms. You know how to spot them. You know that the attack is not the end. It is the evidence that you are close. But there is one final piece of the puzzle you are missing. You know how to fight, but you still do not fully understand why you are such a threat to the kingdom of darkness. I told you that you are a prototype, but that is only half the truth. There is a higher rank, a deeper status that God has hidden inside your DNA. You are not just a prototype. You are an originator. And when you understand what that means, you will understand why the enemy has been terrified of you since the day you were born. But before we unlock the status of the originator, we need to have a very honest, very private conversation. We need to talk about the shadow that follows you. I know that as I am speaking these high words over you, prototype, divine exception, high-value target, there is a part of you that is shrinking back in your chair. There is a voice in the back of your head screaming, "Stop! I am not that special. I am broken. I am a mess. I yelled at my kids yesterday. I have doubts. I am an imposter." This is the shadow work we must do right now. You are terrified of the blessing you are praying for. You want the breakthrough, but at the same time, you are secretly relieved it has not happened yet, because you are afraid that when you get the platform, everyone will see that you are a fraud. You are afraid that the weight of the assignment will crush you. You look at your family history, at the addiction, the divorce, the failure, and you think, "Who am I to break this? It is too big for me." Listen to me. That fear is not a sign of weakness, it is a sign of accuracy. The only people who are not afraid of high-level assignments are narcissists. The fact that you are trembling before this calling proves that you understand the weight of it. Moses trembled. Gideon hid. Jeremiah said he was too young. Your fear is the evidence that you are taking this seriously. But now, I need to give you the revelation that will silence that imposter syndrome forever. The reason you feel this immense pressure, the reason you feel like the weight of the world is on your shoulders, is not because you are arrogant. It is because you are an originator. What is an originator? A prototype is what you are. It is your design. But an originator is who you represent. An originator is the human vessel chosen by God to terminate an old bloodline of cursing and inaugurate a new bloodline of blessing. You are not just a member of your family, you are the new Abraham of your lineage. Look at Isaiah chapter 58, verse 12. "And they that shall be of thee shall build the old waste places. Thou shalt raise up the foundations of many generations, and thou shalt be called the repairer of the breach, the restorer of paths to dwell in." Let's zoom into that phrase. Raise up the foundations of many generations. Do you see the math? You are not just living for yourself. You are carrying the structural integrity for the next 10 generations. The Hebrew word for repairer here is gada, which refers to a mason who closes a wall that has been broken down by enemies. This is why your life has been so hard. You are not just fighting your demons, you are fighting the demons of your grandfather, your great-grandmother, and ancestors you never even knew. You are the checkpoint. The abuse stops with you. The poverty stops with you. The occultism stops with you. The mental illness stops with you. You are the dam, holding back a flood of generational trauma so that your children can walk on dry ground. This explains the specific fear you feel. It is called the burden of the first. Being the first is terrifying. There are no footprints to follow. The first has to cut the grass. The first has to kill the snakes. The first has to convince everyone else that the promised land actually exists. Take a moment right now. I want you to close your eyes, just for a second, even if you are just visualizing this in your mind while you drive. Imagine a massive, heavy, iron door behind you. It is rusted, it is cold, and it is locked. That is the history of your family's pain. Now, imagine you are standing with your back against it, arms spread wide, holding it shut. On the other side of that door, the enemy is pounding, trying to get through to your future, but you are holding the line. You are the originator. The pressure you feel in your back is not punishment. It is the resistance of the old era trying to infect the new one. But as long as you stand, the door stays shut. You can open your eyes. Do you understand now? You are not an imposter. You are a gatekeeper. The reason God has been so strict with you, the reason He disciplined you when others got away with things, is because you are carrying the seed of the new era. If the originator is corrupted, the whole timeline is corrupted. Think of Abraham in Genesis chapter 12. God told him, "Get out of your country, from your family, and from your father's house." Why? Was God being cruel? No. God knew that Abraham could not birth a new nation while living in the environment of the old one. He had to be separated. He had to become an originator. That isolation you felt in part 1, that wasn't rejection. That was God pulling you out of your father's house so you wouldn't be infected by the very patterns you were born to break. You had to be lonely so you could be pure. You had to be misunderstood so you wouldn't be influenced. So, shake off the shame. Shake off the feeling that you are not good enough. You were not chosen because you are perfect. You were chosen because you are resilient. You were chosen because when the enemy hit you with form number 4, the gaslighting, you didn't quit. When he hit you with form number 2, the financial mirage, you didn't sell your soul. You are still here. You are still standing against that iron door, and that is all the qualification heaven needs. But now that you know you are the originator, now that you know you are the heavy machinery paving the road for the future, you need to know the greatest risk to your assignment. You might think the biggest danger is the devil, or the economy, or the haters. It is not. The biggest threat to an originator is not out there in the world. It is right under your nose. It is your mouth. You have survived the external war, but most prototypes fail because they sabotage themselves with their own words. You are carrying a spiritual pregnancy that is in the final trimester, and one loose word, one premature conversation, one moment of venting to the wrong person can cause a spiritual miscarriage. You need to learn how to seal your lips, or you will lose what you have suffered so much to carry. This brings us to the most critical strategy you must master immediately. I call it the protocol of silence. You need to understand the mechanics of the spirit realm. The enemy is not omniscient. He cannot read your mind. He can plant thoughts in your mind, but he cannot hear your silent prayers. He learns your strategies by listening to the words that come out of your mouth. When you speak your vision too early, you are literally giving the enemy the coordinates for his attack. Think about a military operation. Before D-Day, the plans were kept in a sealed room. Only the generals knew. If the soldiers had tweeted about the invasion the night before, the operation would have failed. Your life is a military operation. Your breakthrough is an invasion of enemy territory. And yet, the moment God gives you a download, the first thing you do is run to your phone. You call your friend. You post a vague status update. You tell your family at dinner. You are looking for validation. You want them to celebrate you. You want them to see that you are not crazy. But here is the leak. When you tell a person who is comfortable in captivity about your plan to break out, their spirit reacts with fear. They might smile at you, but internally, their doubt projects a heavy, suffocating energy onto your seed. You leave that conversation feeling drained. You feel like the excitement has leaked out of you. That is because you cast your pearls before swine, and as the scripture warns, they trampled them. This is not just good advice. This is a biblical law. Let us look at the pattern recognition across scripture. This is not an isolated incident. It is a requirement for the originator. Look at King David. In 1 Samuel chapter 16, the prophet Samuel comes to Jesse's house. He pours the oil on David's head. He anoints him as the next king of Israel. It is the biggest moment of David's life. He is the chosen one. He is the originator of the royal line. But what does David do the next morning? Does he run to the palace and demand the throne? Does he make a banner saying, "Future King"? No. He goes back to the sheep. He goes back to serving his brothers who hate him. He keeps the secret. He carries the anointing in silence for years before the crown manifests. If David had spoken too early, Saul would have killed him before he ever picked up a stone to kill Goliath. Now, look at the ultimate originator, Jesus. In Mark chapter 1, verse 44, Jesus cleanses a leper. It is a miracle. It is proof of his divinity. But what is the first command he gives the man? He says, "See that you say nothing to anyone." Over and over in the Gospels, Jesus performs a miracle and then commands silence. Why? Was he being modest? No. He was being strategic. He knew that premature fame would hinder his mission. He knew that revealing his full identity too early would trigger the religious system to kill him before the appointed time. If Jesus, the Son of God, needed the protocol of silence to protect his assignment, how much more do you? You must adopt this rule starting today. Do not announce the pregnancy. Announce the birth. In the natural world, when a woman discovers she is pregnant, she often waits until the first trimester is over before she announces it to the public. Why? Because the first trimester is the most delicate. It is when the risk of miscarriage is highest. The seed is establishing itself. It needs protection, not attention. Your spiritual dream is in the first trimester. It is fragile. It is forming. When you speak it out to people who do not have the capacity to carry it, you are inviting a spiritual miscarriage. You are exposing a fetus to the elements. I want you to do a mental action right now. Visualize the dream God has given you. Maybe it is a business, a ministry, a marriage, or a new home. See it as a small, glowing ember in the palm of your hand. Now, imagine yourself closing your fingers around it, making a fist. Not to crush it, but to shield it from the wind. Feel the warmth of it against your skin. This is yours. It is between you and God. It does not belong to the public yet. Hold that fist tight in your mind. Hear the sound of a zipper closing over your mouth. This is not repression. This is incubation. You are an incubator. You are keeping the environment warm and stable so the promise can survive full term. But I can hear the question rising in your spirit. You are asking, but does this mean I have to live like a hermit? Does this mean I can never trust anyone again? The silence is so heavy. I feel like I am going to explode if I do not share this burden with someone. I understand that pressure. We are designed for connection. God said it is not good for man to be alone. Total isolation is dangerous because it can lead to deception. You need wise counsel. You need prayer partners. But you cannot share everything with everyone. You need a system to determine who has the security clearance to see the classified files of your life. You need to know who is safe and who is a spy. You need to know who can help you birth the promise and who will try to abort it. You cannot live in a house with no walls, but you also cannot live in a bunker with no doors. I am going to hand you a framework called the Vault System. This is the advanced replacement for the 3-circle rule. It is a way to categorize every person in your life so you know exactly how much information they are qualified to handle. This will save you from betrayal. This will save you from the energy leak. And most importantly, this will allow you to walk in community without sacrificing your destiny. Here is the solution. It is called the Vault System. You do not need to cut everyone off, but you do need to stop giving everyone the same access codes to your life. In the intelligence community, information is classified by levels: confidential, secret, and top secret. You need to apply this same hierarchy to your relationships immediately. Imagine your life is a building with 3 distinct rooms. The first room is the titanium vault. This is the Holy of Holies. This room has no windows, and the door is locked from the inside. The only people allowed in this room are you and God. This is where you keep the raw visions, the specific dates God has given you, and the strategies that are still in the embryo stage. Listen to me carefully. No human being belongs in the titanium vault unless they have been tested by fire for at least a decade. And even then, be careful. The scripture warns us in Micah chapter 7 verse 5. Trust ye not in a friend. Put ye not confidence in a guide. Keep the doors of thy mouth from her that lieth in thy bosom. That sounds harsh, but it is necessary for an originator. If the dream is still fragile, keep it in titanium. If you are writing a book, do not tell anyone the title until it is copyrighted. If you are launching a business, do not share the blueprint until the patent is pending. The second room is the steel vault. This is the construction zone. The people allowed in here are your tested allies. These are the people wearing hard hats. They are not here to celebrate you. They are here to help you build. They can see the mess. They can see the unfinished prototype. They can handle your doubts without judging you. But listen, this circle is tiny. Jesus had 12 disciples, but only 3 were allowed on the Mount of Transfiguration. Do not try to squeeze 12 people into a 3-person room. If you try to force a casual friend into the steel vault, they will crush your spirit with their lack of understanding. The third room is the glass vault. This is the showroom. This is for the world. This is for your extended family, your casual friends, and social media. People in the glass vault can see the finished product, but they never see the blueprints. They see the new car, but they do not know how the engine works. They see the miracle, but they do not know the warfare it took to get it. You love the people in the glass vault. You serve them, but you never ever consult them on architectural decisions. Let me tell you why this matters. I want to tell you about a man named Michael. Michael is a chosen one, just like you. 2 years ago, God gave him a download for a tech solution that would revolutionize his industry. It was $1 billion idea. Michael was so excited that he invited his childhood best friend to dinner and laid out the entire plan. He opened the titanium vault to a glass vault person. His friend did not attack him. He did something worse. He laughed. He said, "Michael, be realistic.